Welcome in to the Punt and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside my co-host, Jake, be sure to follow us on social media at Punt and Pass on Twitter and Instagram, and also TikTok now, at Punt and Pass on TikTok. Our intern, James Boyle, has got that thing firing. I saw him post a couple cool videos on the TikTok today. So go give us a follow at Punt and Pass on TikTok, puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football. Gearing up for week 2 of the college football season. Also, week 1 of the NFL starts tonight, Thursday night football rematch of the AFC Championship. So we've made it, Jake. You're up in Detroit. You guys got a big game on Sunday night. How are you, brother?
Hey man, doing great. Yeah, it's that time. All the good things are coming together. College football, NFL football. Man, we're here. We're in the middle of it. Man, can't wait. Man, it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. Hey, we also have something really exciting going on our Instagram page right now. A giveaway, 4 tickets to Georgia's home opener this Saturday at 2 p.m. against Tennessee Tech. A longtime loyal podcast listener isn't going to be able to make it this weekend, so his family won't be there. He reached out to me, was kind enough, and said, hey, would love to donate these to the pod, do a little fun giveaway. So head on over to our Instagram page at Punt and Pass. All you have to do is subscribe to Punt and Pass, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, YouTube, do that. I'll check. But then just leave a comment on our Instagram video, tag at Solomon Brothers, tag at Prizepicks, our presenting sponsors. You're automatically entered to win 4 lower level tickets to Georgia's home opener this weekend against Tennessee Tech. Don't say we never did anything for you. That's what we do right here at Punt and Pass. Also, what else do we do for you? We give you free money. Thanks to our friends over at Prizepicks. This episode of Punt and Pass is presented to you by our presenting sponsor. That, of course, is Prizepicks. All you have to do is download the Prizepicks app or go to prizepicks.com. And when you sign up and you use the promo code PUNT, P-U-N-T, PUNT, play your first $5 entry, you get instantly $50 free in your Prizepicks account. That's it. Play a $5 lineup, you instantly get $50 just for playing. Prizepicks is the best daily fantasy game in the country. There's no question about it. I'll be giving out my 3-pick entry later on in the show. It will certainly do better than last weekend's. We dealt with some injuries. Hey, let bygones be bygones. We're on to week 2, okay? Pick 2 to 6 players. Predict if they'll go more or less than their stat projection. You can win up to 10 times your money. That's Prizepicks. You know them. You love them. Sign up for Prizepicks. Use the promo code PUNT. Simply the best. Shout out Prizepicks. Free $50 when you play your first $5 entry. All right. Everybody's got to keep signing up for Prizepicks. That's how we pay the bills here over at Punt and Pass. So we appreciate your support. Tell a friend. Tell your family. Jake, let's jump straight into 3 and Out. And this could be one of the most fun storylines all season long. And it's just week 2. Of course, I'm talking about at 321 Noel on Twitter. Yes, you see it here if you're watching our YouTube page. This fine gentleman, a Seminoles fan, he was talking about how he was so confident, Jake, in Florida State playing Boston College this past Monday night that he tweeted out last week, if Florida State loses to Boston College this weekend, again, they were a 16.5-point favorite, quote, I will eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and post a video of me doing it. Book it. That tweet got well over 1 million likes. Then, of course, as we were recording the podcast on Monday, I was like, we have a developing storyline. Florida State is getting whooped. They ended up losing that game 28-13. Jake, he scrubs himself completely off social media during the game, as one might expect. And college football fans in particular, they don't forget. They went after this guy. They got in touch with him. They found his Snapchat. They were posting messages with him saying, look, man, you got to eat the dog shit. You posted this. Now it's your time to pay the piper. Jake, have you been following this storyline? It is one that certainly won't be going away until this guy does it.
No, I don't think this is going anywhere anytime soon, especially like once you go like off the grid and try to like get away from this, like people are going to come and hammer down on you even harder. I mean, I am, kind of scrolling through Twitter a little bit this morning and kind of, seeing this, like, no way this is real. No way this guy actually said this.
Yeah.
And then they lose. I mean, there's just too many things that have to happen, but cannot believe it. This is real. This is in fact true. And I think in today's world, the issue is there's not enough men who are accountable to their word, right? Not enough
Oh, yeah.
men, like, you got to be a man
Yes.
of your word,
You
right?
have
You,
to.
you
That's
got
all
to
you
put your
have.
money where your mouth is, and you got to walk the walk. And we need something. All right, we at least need some ugly looking chocolate ice cream. We need
Yeah,
something, but
something.
we got to have something. There's got to be something. You got to respond, And
You have to respond.
I can't wait to see how this story ends. I hope something happens from
Well,
this.
you know what? It's gotten so big that immediately after the game, of course, it's on ESPN. They throw it right to Sports Center. Late night Sports Center host Scott Van Pelt, he even mentions it because the story was breaking so loudly on social media as the game was ending.
Team's down, that's understandable. They're not down as bad as that dude on the internet who said he'd eat dog poop out of a Solo cup. But then you think you just get to delete your account, and the internet ain't going to forget that, buddy. You don't get to just keep it moving and get a new name or something. People are going to find you. That's how that works.
And they found him. I mean, dude, they found him. They're actually tracking this dude down. Jake, you said it best. Like, all you have in this world as a man is your word. But here's where I come from. Like, thinking about this, he can't eat dog shit, right? Would you rather be the guy who doesn't live up to your word, or would you rather be the guy for the rest of your life who ate dog shit with a spoon out of a red Solo cup?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm picking and choosing, I'd rather be the guy who never made an egregious claim in the first place. Okay.
It's an egregious claim. There's no question about it.
Second, I mean, I would have done all I could to make sure my boys win that football game.
No question.
Two, I don't know, man. I think there's got to be some kind of follow up video. Hey guys,
He's got to show face.
You caught me red handed. There's no way you guys in good faith can allow me to do this. But we need something. The people need something.
Yes, we do need something. It's like people in jest will say, if my team or if X happens, I'll cut my pinky toe off or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, that's on its face something crazy to say. I mean, you could easily say that, being willing to eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and on video is just as crazy. And the funniest thing is now people are getting so nuanced in breaking down the story. I saw some tweets that it was like, it doesn't have to be like a hot steaming pile of dog poop. It doesn't need to be like yogurt texture. It doesn't need to be brick hard. Like, they're just saying we need something. So funny storyline at 321 Noel on Twitter. We're after you. Don't think that you weren't going to get past punt and pass with that type of craziness. My favorite one this morning I saw, and then we'll move on to second down, but it was a picture of like a military raid on a house, and like they had scrubbed a bedroom, and the caption was, Florida State dog shit guy is not in here, sir. Like, people are coming after this guy. They're coming after him. So
that's too good.
It's going to be a funny development. And as you said, you got to show face at some time. Of course, we'll be the first to report it right here on Punt and Pass once that day does come. All right, let's go to second down. This was probably expected, but, I was kind of scratching my head Tuesday morning, Jake, because with Florida State starting 0-2, and they were double-digit favorites for the second week in a row. They lost to Boston College, of course. I thought that might have dampened what Georgia Tech did in week 0 in Dublin, knocking off 10th ranked Florida State, but it didn't. Georgia Tech is now ranked 23rd in the AP poll, Jake. That's the first time they're ranked in the AP top 25 since 2015. Big times right now on the flats.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this. I totally could see, the thought process, where you're coming from. Like, does this win have the same, value as it did, a week ago? But I think when you turn on the tape and you look at these guys, they're well coached on offense and defense. They're playing some physical football, and you have a veteran quarterback, right? That's a lot of things adding up right there to win you a lot of games in college football. So, I think it's going to be fun to watch this Georgia Tech football team going in, towards the end of the season, because they could scare a lot of people. They could scare
Oh yeah.
Clemson later. You're going to probably beat Virginia Tech, and there's just a lot of other teams that they could beat there in the ACC. And there's 12 teams that could get into this deal. It could be anybody. We have no idea. We do know who those 4 would be, obviously the conference champions, but man, after that, who knows?
Yeah, good on Georgia Tech, man. You should be proud in being in the top 25 for the first time since 2015. Here's an interesting development, and this has actually been corroborated. Brent Key, Georgia Tech's head coach, was on the Georgia sideline during the Aflac Kickoff Classic on Saturday. Now, most conventional Georgia Tech and or college football fans would be like, why the hell would Brent Key be on Georgia's sideline when he had a game himself that night? Here is what I understand happened. ACC Network had an on-field setup inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, of course, because Clemson was playing Georgia. Brent Key's right down the street. Georgia Tech wasn't kicking off until 8 p.m. that night against Georgia State. He was getting in and out to just do a hit. Obviously, ACC Network, good for the brand, good for Georgia Tech. And supposedly his handler, his right-hand man, from a logistical standpoint, messed things up. And like Brent Key couldn't get off the field before kickoff. So the game was actually going on, and he was like stuck in place on Georgia's sideline or in the end zone. People say he didn't look very happy. You could only imagine that he certainly did not want to go to that game. Probably people within the athletic department were like, hey, dude, do us a solid. Get out there. It's great for the program. And then he's caught being on Georgia's sideline when he's got a game that night. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. But look, now he's the coach of a top 25 team. Georgia Tech's win total this year, Jake, was 5. They're already 2-0. They go at Syracuse this weekend. Watch out, because Syracuse has a little life.
Yeah,
the quarterback, Fran Brown from Georgia, now the head coach. Nick Williams, my former teammate, he's on the coaching staff there as well. So they could get 3, or they could be 2-1. Then they have VMI. That's a win at Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, Notre Dame. Georgia Tech's going to have a pretty good chance to make some noise.
Dude, could Georgia Tech upset Notre Dame?
That's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That will be a very good game. It's a neutral site game. That's October 19th. So
we'll circle that one.
We'll circle that one for sure. It says Georgia Tech has lost the last 3 games straight up in this series. So, yeah, that's a big game for Tech. That's going to have a lot of implications for their postseason hopes, regardless if they're fighting for one of those last playoff spots, which I think is a bit of a stretch at this moment, but certainly will be competing in the ACC. So shout out to Georgia Tech. You're in the top 25. Celebrate a little. Coach Key, Buster Faulkner, Haynes King. You got to love it when you have it. So go for it. All right, let's go to third down. This is a great storyline that kind of broke out after Florida got totally smoked against Miami inside the swamp. Just a bad look, in-state rivalry, bad start to the season. You and I'll say it again, we were dead wrong. We thought Florida would at least keep it close. But head coach Billy Napier made some headlines after the game, because in his post-game press conference, he said Florida needs to stick together, stay focused. And then, Jake, he goes out on a limb and says, stop listening to people on social media who are tweeting from their basement in, quote, rural central Florida.
We got to go to work on the football part, and I think we got to become a more consistent team, and we have to execute better. And if we can focus on those things and not necessarily what some guy in his basement saying in rural central Florida on social media, then we got a chance to get better, right? So
a lot to break down here from the choice of words there. Obviously, he's trying to figure out anything to say after losing 41-17 at home. But probably most notable about his choice of words with rural central Florida is that there's a specific university a little bit south of Gainesville that happens to be called the University of Central Florida. So what did they do? They pounced on an opportunity to create some shirts. You can see it here on our YouTube page. The shirts say just rural Central Florida. I'm sure they're selling like hotcakes. It's in conjunction with UCF's collective. So the collective is making money on the back end there. But I guess my question to you would be, do student athletes now, or do football players in particular, literally live so much online that the negativity, which I'm sure happens every single week, win, lose, or draw, that's affecting how they prepare week in and week out?
Look, I mean, I've seen it happen to guys actually. I think every person, every player, every teammate is going to be different on a case by case basis. For me personally, it was never something that I dove into. Now you would hear noise, you couldn't help but hear noise, but
Right.
are you clicking on tweets, or are you scrolling through all the comments to see how well you played or how bad you played? Personally, that's just not something I did. However, I know teammates who do that,
Yeah.
and they can't help themselves. Personally, here, Coach Napier, I think this is a bad take. I don't personally love it. I think Brandon Adams covered this very well on his show, and
What did
I don't
BA
know.
say? Enlighten me. What did he say?
He thought it was untasteful. He thought it was rude to the people in
A
rural
lot of your
Central
fan
Florida.
base, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like what why are we alienating these people? What's wrong? Like, why are we doing this? And I think it's a little distasteful. I don't like it. And if we're just trying to point fingers somewhere, I promise that fella in that basement in rural Central Florida, and he don't have a whole lot of say of what's going on in the program right now. So I
Yeah,
don't like it.
I think if old buddy in his basement in rural Central Florida knew that he wielded enough power to affect Florida Gators football players' preparation week in and week out, that he might feel empowered to then be more hateful or be more distracting, if that's even possible. So I don't know. Florida's got a long schedule ahead, Jake. Everybody knows how tough their 2024 campaign is. I heard a take earlier. I forget where it was from, but essentially they said DJ Lagway looked okay. DJ Lagway is their highly regarded quarterback recruit. He is a freshman. And they said, look, if Napier just rolls with Lagway and maybe they steal a game here or there, if Lagway looks good, he might be able to buy himself sometimes. So it'll be really interesting to see how things progress with Florida's football team and that roster and who gets playing time week in and week out. They'll probably get a W on the board this weekend. They play Samford at home.
Yeah, I don't know if Napier will be doing any live call-in shows anytime soon. Probably after that one, I'm sure some people would have some few choice words for him, but could definitely see him rolling with the young guy. I mean, that's definitely a tactic that I've seen used by head coaches, kind of in both leagues, in college and in the NFL, to buy themselves some time. And for some reason the guy's able to turn it around, then you saved your job. So I don't know. I think there's going to have to be a switch in something, but I don't know. Like we talked about it before, the schedule is just brutal, and we both thought their backs were against the wall and they had to win this Miami game, and they didn't. So, man, they're in a deep hole there in Gainesville.
Yeah, they really are. And if I could just impart any advice on student athletes now, just don't go look at the comment section. Don't look at your replies, even if you had 10 touchdowns. Just don't do it. I've had bad games. Jake, you've had bad games. It's inevitable. If you play long enough, you're going to have a bad moment. And guess what? In 2024, you are going to get roasted if you live on social media in any way, shape, or form. And yes, I'm well aware that it's hard not to look at it in the good times and the bad. So either have the fortitude to understand that or just stay away from it. That's my TED Talk. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I like it. I promise you'll live a much happier life.
Yes.
if you don't. So yeah, I love that. Big challenge too. Like if you know you don't want to look at it in the bad, hey, let's not look at it in the good either.
That's right.
Wise man once told me it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. So
yes,
that's why we click on the tape and we self-evaluate. Gosh, write that down.
Man, the eye in the sky, don't lie. Your tape is your living, breathing resume. You said it helps you live a happier life. I've got something else that can help you live a much happier life. That, of course, is hitting your Prizepicks entry this weekend.
Gosh, that's good.
And I got you covered. I promise you I do. As you know, this episode of Punt and Pass, every Thursday episode of Punt and Pass, presented to you by Prizepicks. Download the Prizepicks app, use the promo code PUNT, play your first $5 entry, instantly get a free $50. Here is what you need to plug in this weekend. Yes, I've been in the lab. Yes, I've heard the chirpers. I got roasted on social media because my Prizepicks entry didn't hit last weekend. Dealt with some injuries. Dylan Bell got taken out of the game. Georgia's defense went freak mode and, of course, shut down Phil Maffa. That's on me. Hand up. I get better. I choose to get better, not crawl into a hole and try to cry myself to sleep. So here's what we're doing this weekend. We're looking at the two big games that have to deal with top 25 teams. The first game is at noon. We'll dive on this and Inside the Five, but it's Texas visiting Michigan. Two key things here. One, Michigan's run defense is for real. They allowed just 9 total rushing yards last weekend against Fresno State. So what will Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers try to do? Of course, they're going to have to throw the ball around a little bit. They got a transfer wide receiver from Alabama named Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond played against Michigan in the Rose Bowl. He had 47 receiving yards in the Rose Bowl. I think Quinn Ewers, Steve Sarkisian certainly get Isaiah Bond the football right now. Take Isaiah Bond more than 55.5 receiving yards this weekend against Michigan. On the other side of the ball, Michigan's offense is going to have to run the football. You absolutely have to run the football. Keep Texas's offense off the field any which way you can. Some developing storylines with Michigan's quarterbacks, too. Davis Warren started, former walk-on. Not exactly his best debut. Alex Orji, who got some playing time last year, waiting in the wings. You have a stud in Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards went off in the national championship game last year. He's got explosive speed. They're going to have to lean on Donovan Edwards. Take Donovan Edwards more than 51.5 rushing yards. There's my first two plays. I'm about to give you a third. Isaiah Bond, Texas wide receiver, more than 55.5 receiving yards. Donovan Edwards, more than 51.5 rushing yards. And I'm going to Polynesian Peyton, Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback at Tennessee, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He will be slinging it in Charlotte, Duke's Mayo Classic, Tennessee against NC State. Josh Heupel, those boys are putting up crazy stats. Last week, yes, they played UT Chattanooga. Over 400 yards passing, over 300 yards rushing. I think Nico definitely gets more than 1.5 touchdown passes. So there it is. $25. I flexed it. Wins you 50. Nico, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Isaiah Bond, more than 55.5 receiving yards. And Donovan Edwards for Michigan, more than 51.5 rushing yards. Book it.
I like it. Those are some gimmies right there, Coach.
Gimmies, layups. All right. Thank you, Prizepicks. Download the Prizepicks app. Use the promo code PUNT. Play your first $5 entry. Instantly get $50. Tell a friend. Tell your family members. Make it happen. Let's dive inside the five. Just talked about the biggest game of the week. Game days there. Big noon kickoffs there. It's at noon on Fox. Number 3, Texas visits number 10, Michigan. Right now, Texas is a 7.5-point favorite. The total was 42.5 points, Jake. Both of these teams made the college football playoff last year. Of course, Michigan are the defending national champions.
I mean, one thing that's jumping out to me, and then you have a whole lot more, understanding and just experience with this. Texas is walking into Michigan, into the big house, as 7.5-point favorites.
I know. That's a lot of points, man.
That's a lot of points to me, man.
And I'm starting to hear a lot of national media say, oh, Texas is going to beat them by double digits and Texas is going to roll them out of the building. And that just makes me lean towards the home dog even more.
See, I'm not feeling that way. I definitely think this is Texas all the way, but I'm just saying, from a mathematical standpoint, I just, the whole odds deal in Vegas, to me, 7.5 points
it's a lot.
is a lot of points, and I'm still going to take it.
You're laying the 7.5?
I'm going to lay the 7.5 with Texas. I do. I think their offense is better. I think they're built for the SEC this year. They have dudes in the trenches, got skill guys. And right now, Michigan, new head coach, new quarterback. they have a lack of an identity to me right now. They can't. They're not as
definitely do.
physical running the football as they were. Now that they ran the ball well on Fresno State, but I just don't see an identity with that football team right now. And I think Texas is ready to go in there and show them what Texas football is all about.
Wow. So Jake getting in line with the national media, loves Texas big. He's laying the 7.5 points. If I tell you the statistic, you'll feel even better. Texas has won their last 7 true road games. That, of course, includes the big win at Alabama in 2023. However, Michigan is set to be a home underdog for the first time since November 2021 against Ohio State. They won that game 42-27. I'm a little bit worried about Texas maybe not being able to run the ball. As I mentioned in our Prize Picks segment, Michigan's defense only allowed 9 rushing yards last week. Wink Martindale comes in from the NFL. He's their new defensive coordinator. I think Michigan's run defense is going to keep this game close. The atmosphere will be lit. There's no doubt about it. 7.5, that's too many. Texas wins by 7. I win the spread, taking 7.5. So I'll roll with Michigan. All right, let's go to that night game. 14th ranked Tennessee taking on 24th ranked NC State, 7:30 p.m. ABC. This is the Duke's Mayo Classic in Charlotte. Tennessee, an 8-point favorite in a neutral site game. The total here, 60.5 points.
Dude, I'm actually so excited to watch this
game.
Polynesian Peyton guy throw the football, see, Heupel's scheme again, honestly, it's got to be real good because he's had different guys thrown them in there and they just instantly find success. There's not, you don't have these growing pains where you got to develop guys for multiple years. I mean, hey, man, it's just plug and play, throw this football around, grip it, rip it. So, man, there's something to it. And I really am curious to see if this guy can respond well, one, to all the praise that he's been getting, all the numbers, and can he go out and do it again? And that's what makes college a lot different than the NFL, is just the repetition of it. Every single day, every single game is an opportunity to go out and prove yourself. Can he show up and prove it again in a big-time game like this?
So who are you taking? You laying the 8 points with Tennessee? That's a lot of points.
Dude, I'm all about the favorites today. Give me Tennessee.
All right. Jake Fromm taking the Vols, laying the 8 points. Good storylines here, too. Look, it'll be a great game to tune into. There's other game on at 7:30. We'll get to that in just a second. But I like the QB matchup. Nico Iamaleava, of course, Polynesian Peyton. I'm getting that name down pat for Tennessee. And then Grayson McCall, the transfer from Coastal Carolina, who had a lot of success in Myrtle Beach, is now the starting quarterback at NC State. Love that QB matchup. Also like the head coaching matchup, Dave Doran at NC State, Josh Heupel at Tennessee. I mentioned Tennessee had a completely dominating performance on offense a week ago. I mean, I don't care who you're playing, Jake. 400-plus yards passing, 300-plus yards rushing is pretty ridiculous. The defense showed out as well, only allowing 3 points. My buddy Tony Morelli, who I've talked about many times in the past, a huge Tennessee Vols fan. This guy breaks down tape. I asked him about Nico. Here's what he said. This was his text message analysis. I think Nico's yards could be a sweat. Definitely could see him throwing 3 touchdowns. NC State's base defense is a 3-3-5, and with Tennessee's offensive and their splits, I think Tennessee might be able to run the ball. So that's Tony's insight right there. I like that. Maybe Brew McCoy has a big day. But NC State has lost their last 4 games against SEC opponents, 1-3 in those games as well. Watch out for NC State wide receiver Casey Concepcion. This guy had 9 catches for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns just last week. With all that being said, I'll take Tennessee as well. Jake and I both laying the 8 points with the Vols. That will be a fun game to watch. The other game at 7:30 p.m., we can kind of roll through these quickly. There's not too many marquee matchups. Colorado at Nebraska, the rebirth of an old Big 12 rivalry, 7:30 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. Nebraska at home, a 7.5-point favorite. This totals 58.5 points. And, of course, everybody's going to be talking about Dylan Raiola, Nebraska's quarterback, against Shedeur Sanders, Colorado's QB.
Gosh, is the talking point and the topic there, or is it Matt Rule versus
And
Dion prime time?
Prime was throwing Rule some flowers. Respect this guy, really good coach. So he's already kind of fallen in line when it comes to understanding what this matchup could be.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is look. If Prime's involved, it's going to be primetime TV.
No doubt.
Colorado is going to live or die by trying to throw the ball and getting Shador or Travis Hunter a Heisman. So, and they're going to try to find a way to score a lot of points. But today's about favorites, okay? And I think Matt Rule is going to outcoach primetime Deion Sanders here in this one. And I think the young guy, Dylan Raiola, I think he's going to have a good game. He needs to have a good game because he doesn't want to be kind of in the shadow of Shador right here. And I think he will step up to the challenge of this game.
What do you think about Raiola's obsession, I guess you could call it, with Patrick Mahomes? The hairdo, the clothes he wears, the technique in which he throws the ball with, how he catches the ball from the center in the shotgun, and how he kind of his mannerisms in the pocket. I'd love your breakdown as a quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, I mean, I think we all have guys who we've looked up to and wanted to mimic in a lot of ways. I definitely think there's a line, for kind of going over that too much. And I guess that's exactly what this discussion is about. For me, I think it's a little much, but I'm sure Pat probably looks at it as a pretty big compliment. But hey, look, if you're balling, nobody's going to say anything to you. It's when you're not balling, then it kind of becomes, what's this guy doing a little bit?
Totally agree. So, look, if you do want to emulate somebody, make it the best quarterback in the NFL. Yes, of course. So, as I like to emulate myself after Tom Brady, most of you probably can tell, Raiola emulates himself after Patrick Mahomes. So that was obviously a joke. And then I also said Brew McCoy, running back. He's obviously a wide receiver at Tennessee. I meant to say Dylan Sampson. He had a huge game last week, 120 yards and 3 touchdowns for Tennessee last weekend. So again, goes back to the favorites. I like the favorite in this game as well. Laid the 7.5 with Nebraska. Matt Rule in his second year. I think there's a lot of hope and optimism. Raiola did look good a week ago. Surely he will have whatever Patrick Mahomes has going on from a stylistic standpoint heading into this weekend. Colorado does have a rest advantage. They played last Thursday night. Travis Hunter, how are you going to shut him down? You absolutely have to some way, somehow limit his impact on the game. Nebraska, just don't turn the ball over. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Do not turn the ball over. You will win this game going away. Colorado's defense is garbage. I like Nebraska. You and I are on the same side. Lay the 7.5. All right, this game I threw in there because I think there's an interesting storyline. Iowa State's like a dark horse in the Big 12 this year. Rocco Becht, a really good quarterback. They visit Iowa. They're heading to Iowa City. It's the Cyhawk game. Iowa's ranked 21st. 3:30 p.m. And I think the reason I threw this on there is because the 3:30 p.m. game on CBS is now a Big 10 game. It just hurts to say out loud, but it's a matter of fact. Iowa's a 2.5-point favorite. The total's 35.5. Jake, don't know if you have many or if any advice on this game. If you just want to throw out a gut feel, hey, 3:30, you'll probably end up on CBS at one point or another between 3:30 and 7 on Saturday.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, going back to last week, Iowa scored 40 points. And I can't remember the last time I've seen a number greater than 24 next to an Iowa, Hawkeyes football logo. So is this for real? Are we doing this? Are they scoring points now? I don't know. I know they're going to play great defense. That's just what they do. They play tough-nosed football. But, man, when Iowa scores 40 points, that kind of gets me a little bit excited here. And they're the favorite. Man, tonight is all about the favorites. Give me Iowa.
All right, he's taking another favorite. That's 4 favorites. This next game I'm throwing out too, way out of left field, but we'll go there anyway. It's week 2. I'm taking Iowa State. Give me the 2.5 points. Matt Wallace, it's a big game for the Cyclones. I really like Rocco Becht. I like what they do on the offensive side of the ball. notoriously a close rivalry. I'll definitely be checking it out. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson in Iowa City. Are you kidding me? That's college football in 2024. I know Iowa's got a good defense. They always do. Can the offense repeat the success they had a week ago? I'll bet against that. Give me Iowa State plus the 2.5. All right, last game. We're going out west, wrapping things up at 10 p.m. on Peacock, if you have that. Boise State. You mentioned Boise State on Monday's episode. I think that's why I threw this on there. Their running back went absolutely crazy, heading to the 7th-ranked Oregon Ducks inside Autzen Stadium. Oregon, a huge favorite, 19.5 points. 61.5 is the total. Jake, Oregon was up by like 3 points late in the fourth quarter against Idaho. They ended up pulling away to win that game. And Boise State, man, that guy ran for like 1,000,000 yards last week.
Look, he ran for 1,000,000 last week, and he's going to be run out of gas this week. I mean, there's
5 for 5 favorites.
5 for 5 favorites. There's no way he'll be able to repeat the same thing. Dan Lanning, head coach, defensive guy, he says, look, we can't let this guy do that. Not again, not this week, not against us. They had a scare last week. No way they have another scare. They're going to take care of business. And honestly, they were so close to really blowing that team out like they should have. They couldn't convert and couldn't do the little things. This week will be all about taking care of the little things, and the little thing being Boise State this week. Give me Oregon. Give me the favorite.
Ashton Jonte, number 2, the running back for Boise State. Last week, 20 carries, 267 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's good for 13.4 yards per carry. Just an incredible, I don't care who you're playing. That is an incredible stat line. And look, you played for Dan Lanning. You know Coach Lanning very well. The scare factor and being able to get those guys locked in. Yes, they played Idaho in week 1. Yes, training camp and fall camp may have fallen into a little bit of a lull. Not coming back this week.
No,
they got too many hopes heading into the season. A lot of people are picking them to win. Some of them are picking them to win the Big Ten, get a bye, definitely be in the college football playoff. So I think that message has been delivered in a big, big way from the head coach. And then, of course, you're in Autzen Stadium. Geographically close this game, Boise State and Oregon. So, Jake, you've talked me into another favorite. I will lay the 19.5 points with Oregon as well. Plenty of action on this weekend. Jake, it's week 2. Week 3 is a great slate as well. Georgia, of course, plays Tennessee Tech. It's the home opener, 2 p.m. I think the last time they played Tennessee Tech was when I was in school, 2009. How about that?
Ooh, wow. Gosh, is that 15 years ago, Coach?
Are we aging?
Are we aging ourselves here on this? Sorry to do that to you. I mean, I just did the quick math in my head there. I mean, that's
yes.
Gosh,
yes, you are. Let me see. Yep, November 7th, 2009. The Dogs won 38-0. Let's go to a little stat line here. Shall we?
Yeah, dude, let's see it, man. Talk to me.
Oh, punting. 2 punts, 81 yards, along with 47, 1 inside the 20. So there you go. That's a good day at the office.
We only punted twice. That's good.
There you go.
It's kind of, your job's a lot like golf. The less you do of it, the better it is.
Amen. And my boy Joe Cox, starting quarterback, 10 of 13, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Shout out my man Joe Cox, who is now the assistant offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. So we'll be diving into some Ole Miss games later on this season. But the Dogs welcome in Tennessee Tech. Probably a nice little get healthy game. Wouldn't expect many of the guys who have dinged up injuries from week 1 to get out there and play. Everybody on the sideline should be able to get into the game this weekend. It'll be a great celebration of Georgia football. New press box opening up, new concourse there close to the west end zone and the south side of the stadium. So we'll be interested to hear the feedback on that. And then, of course, they go to Kentucky next week. Brock Vandagriff up in Lexington. We'll be diving into that game. Hey, Be sure to follow us on social media at Punt and Pass on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at From Jake. Again, an unbelievable giveaway going on right now. If you want 4 free tickets, lower level tickets to the Georgia home opener this weekend, head on over to our Instagram page, subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, pick one, do both, be nice, and then just leave a comment on the video. Very, very simple. Tag our presenting sponsors at Solomon Brothers, at Prizepicks, and you're entered. I'll pick somebody Thursday night, message you Friday morning, boom, you're getting 4 tickets to Georgia's home opener. Puntandpass.com. Download the Prizepicks app. Use the promo code PUNT. If you play one $5 entry, your first $5 entry, you instantly get 50 free dollars. I can't give away more things on this podcast. Tickets, money, we have it all. It's Punt and Pass. Download the Prizepicks app. Pick 2 to 6 players. Pick between 2 and 6 players. Cross sport entries. Predict that they go more or less than their stat projection. You can win 10 times your money. Prizepicks is the best. Jake, anything on the way out, my man?
Hey, 2:00 Georgia game. Hydrate. It's going to be hot. That's all I got for you, Coach.
It is going to be hot. The weather's great down here right now. It was beautiful today, like 80, breezy, dry, but it'll be hot inside Sanford Stadium. So Jake Fromm says, be sure to hydrate. Jake, thanks so much, my man. Everybody, I appreciate you listening. Have an awesome weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday. See ya.
Yep.